Good morning and welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Thursday. Glad you're here. These Red Mic messages are leadership and life lessons I picked up from 25 years as a public servant, 16 years as a youth football coach or scouting volunteer, and 10 years as a mediocre athlete with far more heart than actual physical ability. Today's Red Mic message, talking across the lines, finding ways to communicate even if you're from different fields, different worlds. What am I talking about? Well, it's cross sector leadership. Um, I work in government. You know that. I've said it before. Um, but I work in a part of government that has a lot of dealings with a lot of different types of businesses. So we'll get calls from, you know, regular business people, from lawyers, from legislative offices, you name it, wanting to know, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? So cross sector leadership is a way of communicating where you've got to work across different fields, whether it's business, government, nonprofits, philanthropy. Every field has their own language, their own jargon, their own things that they know that nobody else quite gets. They've all got their own goals and values and the way they work. And as a leader, you can't rely on just one way of leading. Now, I am a big proponent of servant leadership. There's different ways to lead. Um, I'll talk a little bit about more of that later. But when you work across different sectors, when you work with different types of people, when you work with different types of employees, you're going to need to how to understand and speak, so to speak, the different languages of the different fields and figure out how to communicate with people. Cross sector leadership is about adjusting how you communicate so you can connect and work well with people from all sorts of different backgrounds. Now, how you do that? Well, you got to keep a couple people in mind. You knew me. I was going to get to some sort of cultural reference, right? Well, I've got two. One is Gus from my big fat Greek wedding. Um, Apples and oranges. In the end, we all fruit, right? So keep that in mind. In the end, you're all fruit, right? But you've also got Dr. Phil. And yeah, I'm not the biggest Dr. Phil fan in the world, but man says stuff that makes sense, right? And one of the things that he said that makes sense is fake it till you make it. Fake it until you make it. Um, some people might say that that's dazzling them with BS. If you can't if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with BS, right? But old Dr. Phil, he did have a point. Fake it till you make it, son. Anyway, leadership has different styles. I said I'd talk about that a little bit. And actually, I'm going to talk about all four of these different styles extensively tomorrow. But leadership has different styles. You've got autocratic, democratic, transformational. My favorite, of course, is servant leadership. It's kind of how I'm wired, and I tend to stay in that lane most of the time. There are specific ways to lead other people, but research has shown that not one style works for every situation. You have to be able to adjust your approach based on who you're working with, what the situation needs. Cross sector leadership is about learning the language of each field and using it to build connections and work better together. A couple of examples. 2012, there was a study that looked at 12, that number again, right? Keeps popping up. 12 investment funds that aim to make a positive impact on society while also making a profit. You know, the business of business is business, right? Business of America is business. Yes, thank you, Silent Cal. One of my favorite presidents, by the way. Um, the study found that most successful funds were led by people who could speak across different fields: business, nonprofit, philanthropy, government. The study showed that these leaders cared about both positive change and profits. And then they helped their teams learn to communicate across all of those different levels and areas, layers, yeah, layers. Man, I'm just going at it today. Wasn't planning on making a Shrek reference, but hey, apples, oranges have layers. Yeah, so do onions, right? It's not an onion. Yeah. So, how do you talk across different sectors? Well, education and workforce development are key areas that impact all sectors. So, think about how you would communicate in those sectors. Businesses often focus on developing skills that their employees need right away. Um, you need to plug people into the different places. So you're aiming for those short term results and measurable gains in productivity, right? Governments, however, tend to look at education on a broader scale, and they're looking from election cycle to election cycle or budget cycle to budget cycle, and how do they improve their workforce's readiness over that longer stretch of time. Nonprofits and philanthropic organizations, they may focus solely on one particular group, whether it's a disadvantaged group or a particular social function or goal or anything like that. And what they'll do, they'll provide scholarships, they'll provide different resources for underserved communities, and look for those long-term benefits that they're espousing, right? Public health is a really good example of an issue that affects everybody. Government can create policies geared towards improving public health by funding programs or setting health standards. The president-elect and his team, for example, are looking at our food systems. They're calling it "Make America Healthy Again." Again, not a political statement. It's in the news. It's in life. Deal with it, right? Um, Business leaders, on the other hand, can invest in wellness programs for their employees, support healthy products, healthy lifestyles, different way of living. I mean, how many workplaces have you been in lately that didn't have, a recycle bin or two, located on site? And that's all geared towards, trying to build for the future, trying to encourage their employees to do the same. Philanthropies will focus on things like, disease prevention. They'll support community health projects, educational campaigns geared towards those things. Cross-sector leadership is a way to try to bring all of these groups together and find solutions and make those public health things, work better together. So, to me, the key to this cross-section leadership, it's not just having one style of leadership. Yeah, you can have your wheelhouse, you can lean on it heavy, but you've got to be able to pivot. Um, you've got to learn how to talk the talk of the different folks you're dealing with. You need to have those skills in order to work with people from different fields and backgrounds, learn how to speak their language, whether it's finance or philanthropy or government or business, international development, any of those things. Make those meaningful connections, solve complex problems, and affect real change. You got to ask yourself, what do I have to do in order to better serve our mission and connect with all of our customers, all of our focuses, all of our stakeholders? How do we make it better for all of us so we can move forward and hopefully end up all on the same page, right? That's today's Red Mike message. I hope you found it interesting or helpful. Um, I'm really excited about tomorrow. Again, I'm going to be diving in a lot on the different styles: autocratic, democratic, transformational, or servant leadership. I really hope you'll join me again tomorrow. I appreciate you being here. Um, I'm looking forward to today. Going to have some wide and varied opportunities to talk to folks today, and I'm really looking forward to it. So it kind of made sense to talk about cross sector leadership today. I hope you get something out of this. I hope you can put these things in place in your own life, in your own business, in your own workspace. Again, please give me a like, a follow, and a share. The share is very important, whether it's here on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or wherever it is. Please help us out. Let people know about these Red Mic messages. I appreciate it. More importantly, I appreciate you being here. Thank you. I will see you again tomorrow. And don't forget, life is short. Drink the bourbon.